Dr. Maya Williams stood in front of her mirror, checking her comfortable travel outfit one last time. She wore simple black yoga pants, a loose gray sweater, and white sneakers. Even though she was worth billions of dollars, she preferred to dress simply when traveling. Her natural hair was tied back in a neat bun, and she wore no makeup or jewelry except for her mother's small gold necklace. At 42 years old, Maya had built her company, Williams Tech, from nothing into one of the world's leading artificial intelligence companies. But today, she wasn't thinking about business. She was looking forward to a peaceful first-class flight from Seoul to San Francisco after finishing some meetings in South Korea. The drive to Incheon International Airport was quick and quiet. Maya smiled at how different this was from her early days when she had to take buses and economy flights. Now, her private driver handled everything while she relaxed in the back seat. When Maya entered the airport's first-class lounge, she noticed a few curious looks from other travelers. She was used to this. Being one of the few black female tech billionaires meant she often stood out in places like this. She sat quietly in a corner, reading scientific papers on her tablet while waiting for her flight. Korean Air Flight KE-213 to San Francisco is now boarding first-class passengers. The announcement echoed through the lounge. Maya gathered her small carry-on bag and headed to the gate. At the gate, she met the first sign of trouble. The flight attendant, Jaya Park, looked at Maya's casual clothes and frowned. "Economy class boarding will begin in 30 minutes, Jaya said firmly, not even checking Maya's boarding pass. "I'm in first class," Maya said calmly, holding out her boarding pass. She had dealt with such assumptions many times before. Jaya's eyes narrowed as she checked the boarding pass. Her lips tightened into a thin line, but she had to let Maya board. As Maya walked down the jet bridge, she could hear Jaya speaking rapidly in Korean to another crew member. The problems continued on the plane. When Maya tried to enter the first-class cabin, Jaya stepped in front of her. "Excuse me, but this is the first-class cabin. Economy is in the back," she said loudly, making other passengers turn and stare. "As I showed you at the gate, I have a first-class ticket," Maya said, keeping her voice steady. "Suite 2A. There must be some mistake," Jaya insisted. She turned to the cockpit and called out, "Captain Kim, we have a situation." The pilot, Tae-ho Kim, stepped out of the cockpit. He was tall and had a serious face. He looked at Maya with the same dismissive expression as Jia. "What seems to be the problem?" he asked, speaking to Jaya as if Maya wasn't even there. "This person claims to have a first-class ticket," Jaya said, emphasizing the word claims in a way that made Maya's stomach tighten. Maya took a deep breath and pulled out her boarding pass again. "I am Dr. Maya Williams, and this is my assigned seat. I would appreciate being allowed to sit down." The mention of her name should have solved everything. Williams Tech was well known in South Korea, and she had just been in the news for signing major contracts with several Korean companies. But either Tae-ho and Jaya didn't recognize her name, or they chose not to believe her. "Let me see that," Tae-ho said, snatching the boarding pass from Maya's hand. His movements were rough, and the paper's edge cut Maya's finger. "Careful, please," Maya said, looking at the small cut. "This ticket must be fake," Tae-ho declared, even though it was clearly genuine. "Security. I assure you, the ticket is real," Maya said, her patience wearing thin. She reached for her phone. "I can show you my ID and company credentials." What happened next shocked everyone in the first-class cabin. As Maya reached for her phone, Jaya grabbed her arm roughly. "No, you could be reaching for a weapon." Maya tried to pull her arm away, saying, "Take your hands off me." The sudden movement made Jaya lose her balance, and she stumbled backward. Tae-ho's reaction was immediate and completely out of proportion. He stepped forward and slapped Maya hard across the face, sending her glasses flying. The first-class cabin went completely silent. Several passengers had their phones out, recording everything. Maya stood very still, her cheeks stinging, her vision slightly blurry without her glasses. A young Korean woman in a business suit jumped up from her seat. "Stop. That's Dr. Maya Williams. She's one of the most important tech leaders in the world." Finally, recognition dawned on Jaya's face. Her mouth fell open in horror. Taeho's face turned pale. They had just assaulted one of the most powerful women in the technology industry. Maya slowly picked up her glasses, which thankfully weren't broken. Her hands were steady, but inside, she was shaking with anger and humiliation. She looked directly at both Jaya and Taeho, memorizing their faces and name tags. "I would like to speak to your supervisor immediately," Maya said, her voice quiet but firm. "And I want both of your full names and employee numbers." Other flight attendants rushed forward, finally recognizing the gravity of the situation. The head purser arrived, profusely apologizing. Phones continued recording as airline staff scrambled to manage the crisis they had created. Maya sat down in her suite, declining offers of ice for her cheek or medical attention. She took out her tablet and began typing emails to her lawyers, her public relations team, and several board members of Korean Air. But she also started making notes about the navigation systems she knew the airline used, and about a small tech company she had been thinking of buying. The flight was delayed for an hour as airline officials came aboard to apologize and try to convince Maya not to press charges immediately. She listened to them calmly, saying very little. Both Jaya and Taeho were removed from the flight, replaced by other crew members who treated Maya with exaggerated courtesy. As the plane finally took off, Maya looked out the window at Seoul getting smaller below. Most people would expect her to sue the airline immediately or make a huge public scene. But Maya had learned long ago that real power wasn't about quick revenge. It was about waiting for the right moment, and then making changes that couldn't be undone. She touched her mother's necklace and remembered what she used to say. "Success is the best revenge, baby girl. But make sure your success changes things for everyone who comes after you." Maya smiled slightly as she opened her tablet again. She had 13 hours to plan something much bigger than a lawsuit. By the time she landed in San Francisco, she would have a strategy that would transform not just Korean Air, but the entire airline industry's approach to discrimination. The flight attendant who replaced Jaya came by with champagne and another apology. Maya accepted the drink, but waved away the apology. She didn't need their apologies. Soon, she would have their attention in a way that no apology could match. She pulled up information about the company that supplied Korean Air's navigation systems. It was a small but critical player in the aviation industry, and its stock price had been struggling lately. Maya had nearly bought it last year but decided against it. Now, she had a new reason to be interested. As the plane cruised over the Pacific Ocean, Maya began making plans that would take months to unfold. But when they did, everyone would understand that disrespecting someone based on their appearance was not just morally wrong. It was also very, very bad for business. The cut on her finger had stopped bleeding, and the sting in her cheek had faded. But Maya's determination only grew stronger with each passing mile. Sometimes, she thought, people needed to learn their lessons the hard way. And she had just the lesson plan in mind. The videos spread faster than Korean Air could contain them. By the time Dr. Maya Williams landed in San Francisco, clips of the incident were already trending on social media. People around the world watched in shock as the respected pilot Taeho Kim slapped a female passenger, not knowing she was one of the world's leading tech innovators. Maya's phone buzzed nonstop with messages as she walked through San Francisco International Airport. Her PR team had prepared 3 different statements, but she hadn't approved any of them yet. She wanted to wait and watch how Korean Air would handle this mess first. At her mansion in Palo Alto, Maya finally sat down in her home office and opened her laptop. The room was simple but elegant, with one wall covered in screens showing data from her company's projects. She touched her cheek, which still showed a faint red mark from Taeho's slap. "Dr. Williams." Her assistant's voice came through the intercom. "Korean Air's CEO is trying to reach you." He's called 4 times in the last hour. Let him wait, Maya said calmly. She opened her web browser and smiled as she watched Korean Air's stock price dropping. The videos had hit the Asian markets just as they opened for Monday trading. Her phone rang again. This time it was Hannah Lee, a brilliant engineer who had left Korean Air 2 years ago after facing discrimination. Maya had hired her immediately for Williams' deck. Dr. Williams, I saw the videos, Hannah said, her voice angry. I can't believe they did this to you. It's exactly how they treated me. But they were smart enough not to get physical then. Maya leaned back in her chair. Hannah, remember that aviation systems project you wanted to start? I think it's time. Can you come to my office tomorrow morning? Of course, Hannah replied. I'll bring my whole proposal. After hanging up, Maya finally opened the emails from Korean Air. Their response was exactly what she expected. They wanted to handle everything quietly. They offered her free flights for life, a huge cash settlement, and a private apology from both Jae-ah Park and Tae-ho Kim. Maya deleted the emails without responding. Then she opened a new window and began researching Aerotech Solutions, the company that provided all of Korean Air's navigation and autopilot systems. Their stock price had been falling for months, and their CEO was desperate to find a buyer. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a news alert. Korean Air had announced that Jae-ah and Tae-ho were on paid administrative leave pending an internal investigation. Maya shook her head. They still didn't understand what was coming. The next morning, Hannah arrived early, carrying a thick folder of technical drawings and computer code. Maya listened as the young engineer explained her ideas for a revolutionary new aviation AI system. The current systems, like the ones Korean Air uses, waste so much fuel, Hannah explained, spreading diagrams across Maya's desk. My design could cut fuel use by almost half. But when I suggested it at Korean Air, they wouldn't even look at it because... She stopped, looking down. Because you're a woman, Maya finished. Hannah nodded. Well, now we're going to build it, Maya said. But first, I need you to help me with something else. She pulled up the financial reports of Aerotech Solutions on her screen. Hannah's eyes widened as she understood. You're going to buy them. But they're Korean Air's main supplier. Exactly, Maya smiled. And once we own them, we're going to make some changes. Over the next few days, Maya moved carefully. She knew Korean Air was watching her, expecting a lawsuit or a social media campaign. Instead, she did something they never expected. She started quietly buying shares of Aerotech Solutions through different companies. Meanwhile, the videos kept spreading. More passengers from the flight came forward with their recordings. Some caught Jae-ah's earlier rudeness at the gate. Others showed Tae-ho grabbing Maya's boarding pass and making the paper cut her finger. Each new video made Korean Air look worse. Maya's PR team kept asking what statement they should release. She told them to wait. The airline's weak response was doing all the work for them. Every hour they kept Jae-ah and Tae-ho on paid leave. More people got angry. A week after the incident, Maya sat in a meeting with Aerotech's board of directors. Through careful stock purchases and some help from her business contacts, she now owned enough shares to take control of the company. The board members looked nervous as she explained her plans. Your company is now part of Williams' deck, she told them. And we're going to develop the next generation of aviation AI systems, but we'll be very selective about which airlines can use them. That evening, Maya received another call from Korean Air's CEO, Sung-min Cho. This time, she answered. Dr. Williams, he said, his voice tense. We heard rumors that you bought Aerotech Solutions. I hope this doesn't mean. It means exactly what you think it means. Maya cut him off. Your current navigation systems will be obsolete in 6 months, and your contract with Aerotech is about to expire. There was a long silence on the line. Finally, Sung-min spoke again. What do you want? I want real change, Maya said. Not paid leave for 2 people who assaulted me. not quiet settlements to make problems go away. I want Korean Air to become an example of how to handle discrimination in the airline industry. That's impossible. Some men protested. Our shareholders. Your shareholders are already unhappy. Maya interrupted. Your stock has dropped 15% since the videos came out. Wait until they learn that all your competitors will have better navigation systems than you in 6 months. After she hung up, Maya walked to her window and looked out at the Silicon Valley sunset. She thought about all the times in her life when people had judged her by her appearance, all the times she had to work twice as hard to be taken seriously. Her phone buzzed with a text from Hannah. The new AI system test results are amazing. Should I send them to you? No, Maya typed back. Send them to every airline except Korean Air. Let's see how fast news travels in the aviation industry. That night, Maya watched as more videos from the flight appeared online. But she wasn't angry anymore. In fact, she felt almost grateful to Jaya and Taeho. Their actions had given her the perfect opportunity to force real change in an industry that desperately needed it. As she got ready for bed, Maya noticed that the red mark on her cheek was completely gone. But the changes she had set in motion were just beginning. Soon, Korean Air would learn that Prejudice wasn't just morally wrong. It was very, very expensive. She picked up her tablet one last time to check her emails. There was a message from one of her board members. Are you sure you want to take on an entire airline? Maya smiled as she typed her response. I'm not taking on an airline. I'm changing an industry. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about making sure it never happens to anyone else. She sent the message and turned off her tablet. Tomorrow, she would start working with Hannah on the new aviation systems. But tonight, she would sleep well, knowing that her mother would be proud of how she was handling this situation. Real change didn't come from quick reactions or angry outbursts. It came from careful planning and the patience to wait for the perfect moment to act. 1 month after the incident, Dr. Maya Williams sat in her company's main conference room. The wall-to-wall windows showed a beautiful view of Silicon Valley, but nobody was looking outside. All eyes were on Hannah Lee as she presented the new aviation AI system. The current systems waste fuel because they follow preset routes, Hannah explained, pointing to her charts. Our AI learns from weather patterns and adjusts the route in real time. The test flights show we can save 40% more fuel than any current system. Maya watched her board members' faces as they understood what this meant. Airlines spent billions on fuel every year. A 40% saving would change everything. How soon can we have this ready? Asked James Chen, Maya's chief financial officer. 3 months. Hannah answered confidently. We already have the basic system working. Aerotech's old technology actually helped us. We could see exactly what not to do. Maya smiled at this. When she had bought Aerotech Solutions, many people thought she was just angry about the Korean Air incident. They didn't understand that she had a bigger plan. Later that day, Maya called a private meeting with Hannah in her office. They had become close friends over the past month, sharing stories about the discrimination they had faced in their careers. The system is perfect, Maya said, pouring tea for both of them. But we need to make sure it's installed correctly in every plane. Can you build a training program? Hannah nodded, then hesitated. What about Korean Air? Their technicians keep calling me, asking when we'll update their current systems. Let them wait, Maya replied. They still haven't made any real changes. Jaya Park and Taeho Kim are back at work after just 3 weeks of sensitivity training. Maya opened her laptop and showed Hannah the latest news. Korean Air had hoped people would forget about the incident, but they were wrong. Every time Jaya or Taeho worked on a flight, passengers posted about it online. Some refused to fly with them. Look at this, Maya said, opening another window. It showed messages from airline workers around the world, sharing their own stories of discrimination. We're not just building a better navigation system. We're building a reason for airlines to change how they treat people. The next week, Maya invited CEOs from several major airlines to see the new system. They flew test pilots to San Francisco from all over the world. Everyone wanted to be the first to use technology that could save so much money. During one demonstration, an airline CEO from Germany asked the question everyone was thinking. Why isn't Korean Air here? Aren't they one of your biggest potential customers? Maya stood up slowly, making sure everyone was paying attention. Korean Air recently showed that they don't share our company's values about treating all people with respect. Until they make real changes, they won't have access to our technology. The room went quiet. Everyone there had seen the videos of Maya being slapped. Now they understood. This wasn't just about selling new technology. This was about forcing the airline industry to face its problems with discrimination. That evening, Maya received an urgent call from Sung Min Cho, Korean Air's CEO. His voice was shaking. "Dr. Williams, please," he said. "The other airlines are already signing contracts with you. We can't compete if we're the only ones using old technology. What do you want us to do?" Maya had been waiting for this call. She opened a document on her computer titled Real Changes. She had written it with help from Hana and other employees who had faced discrimination. First, Maya said firmly, Jaya Park and Tae-ho Kim need to be removed from passenger flights permanently. They can work in training, teaching others what not to do. Done. Sung Min agreed quickly. Second, you will create a new position, Chief of Diversity and Inclusion. This person will report directly to you and have real power to make changes. Yes, fine, Sung Min said. Third, Maya continued, you will start a program to recruit and promote more women and minorities in all positions, especially as pilots and executives. There was a pause. That might take time. Sung Min started. Of course it will take time. Maya interrupted. But you'll start now. And here's the important part. Hannah Lee will oversee the installation of our new systems in your planes. She'll report to me about whether you're making real progress. Hannah, who was sitting across from Maya's desk, smiled widely at this. She had wanted to prove herself to Korean Air for years. Now she would return as someone they had to listen to. After finishing the call, Maya and Hannah celebrated with dinner at Maya's house. They sat on her patio, watching the sunset and talking about how much things had changed in just 1 month. When they hurt you on that plane, Hannah said quietly, did you already know you would do all this? Maya shook her head. Not exactly. I knew I wanted to do something that would last longer than a lawsuit or a scandal. When I remembered your ideas about the new navigation system, everything came together. Her phone buzzed with a news alert. Other airlines were starting to announce their own diversity programs, not wanting to risk being shut out of the new technology. The change was spreading beyond Korean Air. My mother always said that success is the best revenge, Maya told Hannah. But she also taught me that real success means helping others succeed too. Hannah raised her glass. To your mother's wisdom, and to proving that kindness can be just as powerful as anger, Maya added. We're not just getting revenge. We're making sure nobody else has to go through what we did. That night, after Hannah left, Maya stood in front of her mirror again. She thought about how different things were from that day when she got ready for her flight to Seoul. The woman in the mirror wasn't just a successful tech leader anymore. She was someone who had turned a moment of humiliation into a movement for change. Her phone buzzed one last time. It was a message from one of Korean Air's board members. Dr. Williams, I fought against these changes at first. But watching our stock price fall while our competitors sign up for your technology has taught me something. Discrimination isn't just wrong. It's bad business. Maya smiled as she got ready for bed. Tomorrow would bring more work, more challenges, and more opportunities to make changes. But tonight, she could rest knowing that sometimes the best way to fight prejudice wasn't with anger or lawsuits. Sometimes, the best way was to change the rules of the game entirely. 3 months had passed since Maya Williams began her careful plan. Now she stood on stage at the World Aviation Conference in Singapore, ready to change the airline industry forever. The huge room was packed with airline executives, engineers, and journalists from around the world. Today, we're not just launching new technology, Maya began, her voice clear and strong. We're starting a new era in aviation. Behind her, the giant screen showed the Williams Tech logo next to the words, AI or Intelligence System. In the front row, Hannah Lee sat with their engineering team. She had worked day and night to perfect the system, wanting to prove that Korean Air had been wrong to ignore her ideas years ago. Now, everyone would have to pay attention. Maya clicked her presentation remote. The screen showed a world map with flight paths drawn across it in glowing lines. Our AI system doesn't just follow preset routes, she explained. It thinks and learns. It finds the best path based on weather, wind patterns, and other flights in real time. The audience leaned forward as Maya showed the test results. The new system had cut fuel use by 40% in every test flight. It could reduce flight times by finding better routes. It even made landings smoother by adapting to local weather conditions. This technology will be available to most major airlines next month, Maya said, emphasizing the word most. Everyone in the room knew what she meant. Korean Air wasn't on the list of partner airlines displayed on the screen. In the middle of the audience, Sung Min Cho, Korean Air's CEO, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. His airline stock had dropped another 10% that morning when news leaked that they wouldn't have access to the new system. After the presentation, airline executives rushed to sign contracts with Williams Tech. Maya watched from the side of the stage as Hannah explained technical details to excited engineers. This was the moment they had planned for. A reporter from CNN approached Maya. Dr. Williams, is it true that Korean Air won't get access to this technology because of what happened on your flight with them? Maya smiled calmly. This isn't about one incident. It's about choosing to work with airlines that share our values of respect and equal treatment for everyone. Back at their hotel that evening, Maya and Hannah watched as news of the new system spread across the world. Airlines that had signed up saw their stock prices rise. Korean Air's stock fell even more. Look at this, Hannah said, showing Maya her phone. Their old colleagues at Korean Air were posting on social media, demanding changes in the company's culture. Nobody wanted to work for an airline that might be left behind because of its treatment of people. Maya's phone rang. It was Sung Min Cho again. Dr. Williams, he said, his voice desperate. We've done everything you asked. We removed those employees from flights. We started diversity programs. What more do you want? Actions, not just promises, Maya replied. Show me real changes. Show me more women in leadership. Show me proper consequences when someone discriminates. Show me you understand this isn't just about following rules. It's about changing how you think. The next morning, Maya and Hannah visited Singapore Airlines, their first partner for the new system. As they walked through the airline's training center, they saw something interesting. On the wall was a new poster about treating all passengers with respect, showing people of different races and backgrounds. They're already changing, Hannah whispered to Maya. And we haven't even installed the system yet. Maya nodded. This was exactly what she had hoped for. Other airlines were learning from Korean Air's mistake. They didn't want to risk losing access to technology that could save them billions of dollars. Later that day, Maya received an email from Jaya Park, the flight attendant who had helped start all this. Jaya was writing from her new position in Korean Air's training department. Dr. Williams, the email began. I watch every new employee training video about what happened that day. I tell them how my prejudices nearly destroyed our airline's future. Some days I feel ashamed, but I know this is the right punishment, having to teach others not to make my mistakes. Maya forwarded the email to Hannah. This was a small sign that real change was happening, even in unexpected ways. That evening, Maya gave another presentation, this time to airline training managers. She explained how the new technology would work with their existing systems, but she also talked about something more important. Technology can make planes fly better, she told them. But it's humans who decide how to treat each other. We're offering you amazing new tools, but we're also asking you to build amazing new cultures in your companies." After the presentation, a young black woman approached Maya. She was wearing a pilot's uniform from one of the African airlines. "Thank you," she said simply. "When I saw those videos of what happened to you, I almost quit training. I thought if they could treat someone like you that way, what chance did I have? But watching you turn it into this," she gestured at the room full of airline executives now eager to prove they supported diversity, "it gives me hope." Maya hugged the young pilot. This was why she had chosen this path instead of just filing a lawsuit. Money might have punished Korean Air, but it wouldn't have helped this young woman or thousands like her. That night, Maya stood at her hotel window, looking out at Singapore's beautiful skyline. Her phone showed more news about airlines rushing to prove they were progressive enough to deserve the new technology. Korean Air's competitors were offering special programs to recruit minority pilots and executives. Sometimes, Maya said to herself, the best way to change the world is to give people a business reason to do the right thing. Her phone buzzed with a message from Hannah. Korean Air's board is meeting tomorrow. Rumors say they're going to announce major changes. Real ones this time. Maya smiled. She didn't feel angry anymore when she thought about that day on the plane. Instead, she felt grateful for the opportunity it had given her. The chance to turn a moment of discrimination into a movement for change. She opened her laptop to check the final testing results for the AI system. Tomorrow, they would start installing it in the first group of planes. But the real installation was already happening. In the minds of people throughout the airline industry, who were learning that disrespecting someone because of their race or gender wasn't just morally wrong. It was also very, very bad for business. 6 months after the incident on Korean Air Flight KE-213, Dr. Maya Williams stood in front of a very different audience. Instead of airline executives or engineers, she faced a group of young students from diverse backgrounds at the opening of the Williams Foundation for Aviation and Technology Education. "Your dreams matter," Maya told them, looking at each eager face, "and now you'll have the chance to make them come true." The foundation would provide scholarships for minorities and women who wanted to work in aviation or technology. It was funded by the profits from Williams Tech's new aviation AI system. In the audience, Hannah Lee sat next to a special guest, Jae-ah Park. The former flight attendant had asked to attend after spending months teaching Korean Air's new anti-discrimination program. The experience had changed her completely. After the speech, Jae-ah approached Maya with tears in her eyes. "Dr. Williams," she said softly, "I want to volunteer at the foundation. I want to teach these students what I learned. That prejudice isn't just wrong. It's a waste of human potential." Maya studied the woman who had once treated her so badly. Jae-ah wasn't the same person anymore. She had become one of Korean Air's strongest voices for change, using her own mistake to teach others. "You can start next week," Maya said. "These students need to hear all kinds of stories, including stories about how people can change." Later that day, Maya had a meeting with Sung Min Cho and the Korean Air Board of Directors. But this time, they met as partners, not opponents. The airline had finally made the real changes Maya demanded. "Show me your progress," Maya said, sitting at the head of the conference table. Sung Min proudly displayed their latest statistics. Korean Air had promoted 15 women to senior positions in the past 3 months. They had hired 30 pilots from minority backgrounds. Their new chief of diversity and inclusion had real power to make changes. Most importantly, Sung Min said, "Our employees believe in these changes now. They've seen how much better we work when we respect everyone's talents." Maya nodded, then opened her laptop. "Then I think it's time for Korean Air to join the AI or intelligence network." She showed them the contract she had prepared. The airline would get access to the new technology, but with one special condition. They had to continue sharing their diversity progress with other airlines. "We want to be an example," Sung Min agreed immediately. "We learned our lesson the hard way. but now we can help others learn it the easy way. That evening, Maya hosted a dinner at her home. Hannah was there, along with the young black pilot they had met in Singapore, who had just been hired by Korean Air. Tae-ho Kim had asked to come too, and Maya had agreed. The former pilot spoke little during dinner, but when everyone was drinking coffee afterward, he finally found his courage. "Dr. Williams," he said, his voice shaking slightly, "when I hit you that day, I destroyed something in myself too. My pride, my sense of being a good person. It all fell apart, but watching how you responded." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "You could have destroyed us. Instead, you forced us to become better." Maya touched her mother's necklace as she listened. "Sometimes," she said, "the hardest part of change is admitting we need to change. You did that. Now you're helping others do it too." The next morning, Maya had breakfast with Hannah at their favorite cafe. They watched as another airline announced its partnership with Williams, promising to meet their diversity requirements. "Did you ever imagine this?" Hannah asked, showing Maya her phone. It displayed photos from aviation schools around the world, where record numbers of women and minorities were enrolling, all because of one terrible flight. Maya shook her head. "Not because of the flight," she corrected. "Because we chose to respond with strategy instead of anger. Because we saw a chance to change the system, not just punish two people." Her phone buzzed with a news alert. The International Air Transport Association had just announced new global standards for diversity and inclusion, inspired by the changes at Korean Air. Airlines worldwide would have to meet these standards to maintain their membership. "Look at that," Maya smiled. "The change is becoming permanent." Later that day, Maya visited the foundation again. The students were in their first classes, learning about aviation technology. She saw faces of every color, heard languages from around the world, and watched young women confidently taking leadership roles in group projects. A small girl approached her, holding a tablet with the old video of the Korean Air incident. "Dr. Williams," she said, "my teacher showed us this video. She said it's important to know what happened. But what I don't understand is, aren't you angry when you watch it?" Maya sat down next to the girl. "I was angry at first," she admitted, "but then I realized I had a choice. I could stay angry, or I could use that moment to make things better for you and everyone else who comes after me." The girl thought about this. "So you built a whole new system just because they were mean to you?" Maya laughed. "No, I built it because I knew they needed a reason to change. Sometimes people do the right thing because it's right. But sometimes they need to see that doing the right thing is also smart business." That evening, Maya stood in front of her mirror again, just like she had on the morning of that fateful flight. She was wearing the same simple clothes, yoga pants, and a comfortable sweater. But the woman in the mirror was different now. She wasn't just a successful tech leader anymore. She had become someone who could turn discrimination into determination, anger into action, and a moment of humiliation into a movement for lasting change. Her phone buzzed one last time that day. It was a message from her mother. "Baby girl, I just watched the news about the foundation opening. You didn't just get revenge, you got justice. Not just for yourself, but for everyone who ever felt pushed aside or looked down on. I'm so proud of you." Maya smiled at her reflection. The red mark from Tae-ho's slap had faded long ago. But the changes she had created would last for generations. Sometimes, she thought, the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about making the world more even for everyone who comes after you.